Hey everyone, I'm Jeff Haynes from Tech Bargains, and this is the video review of the new iPad. It's been just over 2 weeks since Apple unveiled the new tablet, and already there's been a ton of hype surrounding it. Apple has called it everything from a major breakthrough to a magical piece of glass and even revolutionary. And within the first 72 hours of it being on sale, more than 3 million tablets were sold, which seems to back up Apple's claims. But the obvious question is this a major breakthrough as Apple has claimed, or is it just a simple rehash? Is it worth the hype? Why don't we find out? In case you're wondering, a number of the physical specs of the third generation iPad are very similar to that of the iPad 2, but it's the subtle differences that make the device stand out as an adjustment or an evolution of the tablet. It still features a 9.7-inch LED backlit multi-touch display, but the resolution of the device has been pumped up to 2048 by 1536, meaning that it packs 264 pixels per inch. The device comes with the new A5X chip, which features a dual-core CPU running at 1 GHz with a quad-core GPU, as well as 1 GB of RAM and iOS 5.1. The rear-facing camera has been renamed as the iSight camera and is now a 5-megapixel camera, while the front-facing camera is the same 0.3-megapixel camera from the iPad 2. It also still comes in 16, 32, and 64 GB versions with 5 gigs of free iCloud storage, although the new iPad now comes in Wi-Fi and optional 4G LTE versions from AT&T and Verizon. Now let's get the most immediate point out of the way. A lot of attention has been paid to the new Retina display, and for good reason. The screen is the best display on the market right now, bar none. This crushes any Android tablet or smartphone on shelves, it leapfrogs over laptop displays, and it's better, albeit smaller, than the HD TVs that you have in your house. While you probably won't be able to pick out one of the 3.1 million pixels on the screen, but you'll definitely notice images are more vibrant, text looks smoother, and the quality of pictures simply looks better. Helping to power the visual panache of the tablet is the new A5X processor, which Tim Cook and Apple claims provides 4 times the graphics power of the NVIDIA Tegra 3 chip. That's an incredibly strong statement, which almost seems too good to be true. While we notice that in some cases, like 3D graphics, the new A5X chip is a powerhouse, and it easily lives up to Apple's claims. But in other cases, the leap in performance just isn't as large as promised, although it's still a significant boost. We are also pleased that Apple tried to address the weak cameras of the iPad 2 on the new iPad. The new iSight camera is a vast improvement over the horrendous cameras of the iPad 2, which were truly laughable. The decision to upgrade the rear-facing camera and the optics of the iSight camera to 5 megapixels, along with the capability of 1080p video recording, means it's actually possible to take photos and record video that looks good on the tablet. It might not be as good as the 8 megapixel camera that you have on the iPhone 4S, but compared to the 0.7 megapixel rear-facing camera of the iPad 2, it's a massive leap forward. We don't necessarily expect a ton of people to use this as their sole camera, but it does actually mean that people might decide to use the camera for a change. Another interesting feature of the third generation iPad is that Apple actually tried to address the virtual keyboard issue all tablets have struggled with. While typing URLs, notes, or short emails is a passable option, trying to actually get work done is a pain without an external peripheral. This is still a problem with the new iPad, but at least the addition of the dictation feature on the keyboard allows you to use your voice to dictate notes or emails. It's not the addition of Siri that everyone expected, but we found that it works pretty well and it can also be used with third-party apps. Finally, we were pleased that Apple also finally decided to offer the option of 4G LTE for users that constantly want access to the internet wherever they go. While Apple may have skipped the inclusion of this option on the 4S, the company did decide to bring it to its popular tablet. And although 4G doesn't have the same coverage areas as 3G currently does, especially if you happen to be on AT&T, it does provide incredibly fast downloads and a faster browsing experience if you're willing to pay for a monthly data plan and you're around 4G areas on a regular basis. But while it's impressive, the new iPad still packs notable disadvantages. First of all, while the rear-facing camera was radically upgraded, you're still dealing with a front-facing 0.3 megapixel camera that sucks for FaceTime. That still produces grainy images, especially if you choose to use Apple's touted video calling function to contact family or friends. This is unfortunate because the idea of FaceTime has always been held back by horrible cameras, and it doesn't seem to escape this flaw with this brand new tablet. Another issue, albeit minor, is that the new iPad is slightly thicker and heavier than the iPad 2, primarily because of the larger battery Apple placed in the device to keep the system's life exactly the same as the iPad 2 while still powering the Retina display. You'll detect a subtle difference if you pick up the iPad 2, especially if you compare it next to the brand new iPad, but the device is still light and thin. Another minor issue that we found is that while the GPU may have gotten an enhancement, the CPU is still the same dual-core processor found in the iPad 2. As such, there's no enhancement to general-purpose tasks or performance with the tablet. So while we didn't expect that it would be a quad-core CPU as well as a quad-core GPU, it does seem a bit complacent to leave the same processor for the third-generation tablet as the second-generation one. Finally, while the new iPad is the strongest version of the device, it still hasn't received any additional features. The storage on the iPad is still limited to 16, 32, and 64 gigabytes. There's still no HDMI port, USB ports, expandable storage slots, or other extras that are on a number of other tablets on the market, which could have made this an Android killer. Instead of providing the knockout punch to its competitors, the third-generation iPad still leaves open some room for competition, and we simply don't understand why even one of these frequently demanded options couldn't have been added to the device. With all that being said, what's the final verdict on the new iPad? Well, it might not be the ultimate device, but it is still a phenomenal tablet, especially where the Retina display is concerned. Images, video, and text simply leap off the screen, and the A5X chip really takes advantage of the display's 3.1 million pixels, especially where 3D gaming is concerned. It's also nice to see the improvement of the rear-facing iSight camera, and the addition of 4G really helps those consumers that want to take their tablet anywhere they go and still be connected to the internet. Unfortunately, it still has a couple of problems, like the front-facing camera issues, storage limitations, and the CPU could have been a bit beefier. Plus, it really wouldn't have hurt Apple to listen to some of the consumer wishes, like the addition of a USB, micro SD card slot, or HDMI port. So, with all that being said, should you run out and get your hands on this tablet as soon as possible? Well, that's really a matter of degrees. If you happen to have an iPad 2, there's no reason to run out and put your older device up on eBay or Craigslist. The minor differences between the two not only show how strong the iPad 2 is, but it also spotlights just how short Apple stopped of making the perfect tablet. But on the other hand, if you don't have a tablet, you have a first-generation iPad, or you have a tablet of a completely different operating system, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't consider getting your hands on the brand new iPad. It's simply one of the best tablets out there on the market. For these reasons, we decided to give the third-generation iPad a 4.5 out of 5. So, would you like to win this 16GB iPad that we just reviewed? It's really easy to do. We have never made entry into a contest simpler. All you have to do is go to www.techbargains.com and sign up for a brand new user account, which will earn you 1 entry into the contest. Every day that you come back to our website and you log in using your user account, you earn an additional entry. Extra rules can be found on our website. Good luck to everybody that enters, and for the latest news, reviews, coupons, and deals, be sure to follow us on Twitter @TechBargains or visit our Facebook page. And for the latest video unboxings and video reviews, be sure to go to techbargains.com/YouTube.